Hey everybody, Dr. Nova from the Lifters Clinic here to talk today about upright row and shoulder health. Now, traditionally, an upright row, such as seen throughout an explosive Olympic movement, clean and press, clean and jerk, or a snatch, uses an upright row wide grip pattern to allow for proper clearance of the arm. The reasoning for this movement is to allow for optimal shoulder clearance, namely the structures that are below the acromion, which is a bony protrusion of the scapula. Using proper form will help to allow for long-term continued use of an overhead pattern. By and large, most movements should be broken down into their component form so that certain areas where there is difficulty can be isolated and later on adapted and progressed. When we begin to change, though, the mechanics of the shoulder in the movement by adjusting the grip width to a more narrow grip, now we begin to enforce much greater internal rotation torques onto the shoulder, which place some of the various structures that lay within the subacromial space under large amounts of stress. This over time can lead to overuse or a cumulative load injury, where the structures themselves become very stressed and strained and don't have optimal time to recover, leading to injury. In the orthopedic world, special tests are used to help piece the mechanism of injury together with the chief complaint by gathering patient history, assessing the biomechanics of the structures, and understanding the kinesiology behind it. A special test used to provoke familiar signs and symptoms seen with the supraspinatus tendon, long head of the biceps tendon, or AC joint injury is a Hawkins-Kennedy test, which is only one of a grouping of tests that's performed to isolate some of these tissues in question. Now let's note the testing position. We can see here that the arm is placed passively into 90 degrees of shoulder flexion and 90 degrees of elbow flexion, and then internally rotated. Now let's compare this to the narrow grip upright row. We can see a similar angle is present, but undoubtedly because the movement will be performed loaded, there will be an even greater internal torque placed on the soft tissue structures. Because we know that longevity, recovery, and injury prevention are key to a successful lifting career, let's be smart here so we can work harder. Here's an example of the test being performed. Undoubtedly, when it's an active movement, there will be more stability around the shoulder joint. But nonetheless, though, as the old saying goes, let's not play with fire here. Let's get to a fix now. When performing an upright row, we do want to use a wide grip variation where the hands can stay well below the shoulders. This will ensure proper training load and injury prevention. Equally, this can be done with a dumbbell variation where we go through the complete range of motion. If a press were included, this would be known as a Cupid press. Changing the variation of angle can also optimize for more muscle growth and exposure to different dynamic forces. Face pulls are another example of how this can be performed, but if you're a bigger guy, using a single rope might not be optimal. Combine two ropes to get increased leverage on the movement and a wider grip position to help keep some of those undersided structures a little bit more happy and less irritated. Again, here's another variation just using a top position on the cable pulley. Lastly, a variation using a rope and a dumbbell can be performed with a standing upright row. Mind you, this isn't always perfect, but when you don't have anything else laying around, it's a great way to train the position. Note again the wide hand grip and clearance of the shoulder structures. Thanks guys, I hope you really liked this video. Hope you liked also the attached article. Go ahead and share, and thanks for visiting the Lifters Clinic.